Morning, everybody in Colorado Springs and online. I'm sitting here in Montana, pre-recording a short message to be played this coming Sabbath, July the 5th. Brian and I will be in Salt Lake City for the Church of God Seventh-day General Conference, which comes up every other year. And we decided that as your elders, we would send a message using Zoom and be able to play it in church. I hope everybody is doing well. It's going to be an amazing trip. Bonnie and I actually are leaving on Thursday. John Classic is already there. Last week, Bruce and Mary Chesney were here with us. We had a wonderful time. They've already reached Salt Lake City for the convention. So greetings to all of you. My mind of recent days I've been wandering back to what I would call a terrible time of my life. I was 17. My father had cancer and I buried him. I helped him with his morphine. I helped him go to the bathroom. I fed him. I bathed him. We were hospice. We were long-term care. I was 17 years old attending the Church of God. And it was very, very difficult, as I'm sure all of you can imagine. Last week, Bruce talked about as you go through the storm, what it's like. I've been there, and I'm sure all of you have been there. After my dad died, my mom, she ran away from the church. God can't be real. Dad died. She left. We were in California. She came to Montana, left me home alone for 3 months. So there I was, alone, brokenhearted, confused, lonely, running the entire household. I had to buy the groceries. I had to pay the bill. She signed a bunch of checks before she left. I was at high school. I was in the water for swim team every morning at 6 a.m. I got up at 4:45 alone, made my lunches, went to school alone, swam, went to school, swam in the afternoons, came home, took care of the house, took care of the dog, did the things that one would do. And every single Sabbath, I drove the 56 miles one way from Acton, California to Reseda, California to go to church every Sabbath by myself, nobody pushing me. I went to the church. And I got to tell you, what helped me survive my broken heart? What helped me to survive? It was a terrible time. It was you. It was the members of the Church of God. They showed me hospitality. They showed me fellowship and a deep love and devotion. People in the church dedicated themselves. Take care of young Mike. He's only 17. His father is dead. His mother is gone. He's living alone, doing what he's supposed to do. They were hospitable. They gave fellowship and they showed love. Emotionally and spiritually, I could not have asked for more. They invited me into their homes. They gave me meals and they gave me the strength to carry on when I needed it most. It was the Church of God, you, the people of God's church, the members of the body of Christ, the bride of Jesus, who took their time and gave me home once again, a home of a place to go to church. What a wonderful, wonderful feeling. What a wonderful thing that they did that. Hope was given to me. I wasn't as alone as I thought I was. Tough times. All of us have them. That was 49 years ago. Tough times still happen, but their hospitality, their fellowship, and their love pulled me through. What I want to talk about this morning is our reasonable service to the Church of God. What is our reasonable service to the Church of God? Two things. Understand this. Reasonable simply means the minimum. In other words, our reasonable service is simply the minimum of what we should be doing to help the church of God. And who and what is the church of God? It is the brethren. It is the baptized members of the family of God. So our minimum service to the members of the church of God is what we're talking about today. We're going to spend a lot of time in Romans chapter 12. You might as well just turn there. That's going to be the main verse. A few other places we'll go, but Romans chapter 12, our reasonable service to the church of God. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. What does it say? And I always use the New King James. I beseech you, brethren, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. It's our minimum service, giving of ourselves, our bodies, it's our time in our life, a living sacrifice, a sacrifice of our time and energies to the people of God. That is a holy thing. It is acceptable to God, and it is our minimum service. So, reasonable service number one for the church of God, and we are giving reasonable service to the church of God. What is it? Well, reasonable service number one is be hospitable, be outgoing, be loving, be kind, bring people in, feed them, take care of them, help them out. Let's take a look at Paul for a minute. He traveled through Asia, into Europe, Greece, and Turkey, all these different places, and he had to go to people's homes. The early church with Peter and John, they went to people's homes. In Acts chapter 9, and you can read it, verse 32, it talks about the town of Lydda, which is today near Tel Aviv, Israel. Peter went to somebody's home. In Joppa, verse 36, he went to somebody's home, Simon the tanner's home. Peter was going from home to home, from member home to member home. And in Acts chapter 10, he goes to Caesarea, to the home of Cornelius the centurion. In Acts chapter 12, verse 12, what happens? Peter's in prison. Herod has killed James, the brother of John. Peter is miraculously let out. And where does he go? He goes to the house of Mary, mother of John Mark, the sister of Barnabas. People don't always realize that Mary in Acts chapter 12 was the sister of the apostle Barnabas. Okay? We see Peter going to home churches. Paul, in Acts 16, verse 11 through 15, and verse 40, where does he go? Lydia, town of Lydia, has Sabbath at the river. He ends up staying in their home. Paul and Silas stayed in homes. So our first duty as a Christian in serving others is to be hospitable. Be hospitable. Reasonable service, number two, our fellowship. Fellowship. Yeah, our fellowship. Acts 2, verse 42. It's the first Pentecost. Peter has given this tremendous sermon, which became known as the Apostles' Doctrine. And it's the same sermon and the same basic message you see John, James, and Paul giving over and over again. But Acts 2, verse 42, he says, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and the breaking of bread, and in prayers. You realize after church today, when you have your little potluck, you are continuing in the apostles' doctrine of fellowship and the breaking of bread and in prayers? Fellowship, the getting together of the brethren. Brothers and sisters, the family of Christ, the bride of Christ. Hebrews 10, verse 25. The author says to not forsake the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some, but exhorting one another so much more as you see the day approaching. Wow. Get together, assemble together, fellowship together. This was written almost 2,000 years ago. The day is much closer now, so the need for fellowship is actually greater than when this was written. Reasonable service, number 3, kind of a to-do list. Okay, reasonable service, our minimum service, number 1, hospitality. Number 2, fellowship. Number 3, it's kind of a to-do list. Okay, what do we as a reasonable service do? Well, first, real Christians keep all 10 of the commandments, not 9. They don't throw the Sabbath out. They keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You know, by keeping the commandments, we're showing love to people. We're not killing. We're not committing adultery. We're not stealing. We're not lying. We're not coveting what they have. That's a reasonable service. Christians keep the commandments. The second thing, giving of tithes and offerings to the church. If this is really your church and my church, if this is really our love, that we love each other with hospitality, with fellowship, with service, we give our tithes and our offerings to the church. And if we're not doing that, it's time to reconsider. It's time to think deep. Where do you want to be? So giving of tithes and offerings to the church. And please turn over to John 13, because this is the third on the to-do list. Commandments, tithe offerings, love others. John 13, verses 34 through 35. This is the very, very last day of his life on earth. He's about to die. He has the Last Supper, the final Passover service with them. And he's trying to tell them what's important. My dad did for me right before he died. As he laid on his bed, I sat down on the end of the bed and he said, "Son, I have things to tell you. I've taught you all that I can do. How to live, how to honor Jesus, how to be a Christian. I'm not going to be there. Now go do the right thing." At the end of somebody's life, they often want to tell you what's most important. And we see Jesus right here telling the disciples what's the most important thing. John 13, 34 and 35. What does he say? "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this, all will know that you are my disciples if you have love one for another." That's what Jesus wanted at the end of his life. Show that love. So what is love? Well, love is simply unselfish, outgoing concern. It's not selfish, outgoing concern. I'll do this for you so you can do that for me. No, it's unselfish, outgoing concern. It is giving to other people without any expectation of getting anything back. What do we do in church? When the Church of God recognized my plight, they gave to me knowing there was nothing I could give back. At least at the time, there wasn't. Some of those people, it's been almost half a century, are still alive, still there, and still attending the Church of God. And I do intend to visit them at some point. Unselfish, outgoing concern, giving to others and not taking. That's our job in the Church of God, to give to the brethren. We, the brethren, are the church of God, the bride of Christ. I'm going to turn to Ephesians chapter 5 real quick, getting off of Romans 12 for a second, but Ephesians chapter 5. Paul is discussing marriage and the beauty of it, husbands and wives and how they treat each other. He's using that and giving an analogy to explain a very, very important principle. Acts 5, I'm going to start in verse 31. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother, be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. That's a very intimate statement by Paul. So close that you become one flesh. So Paul has been describing marriage, husband and wife. And he said, you become one flesh. And then Paul gives the caveat. He puts the exclamation point. He says in verse 32, this is a great mystery. People can't figure this out. It's simple. He says it right here. I speak concerning Christ and the church. We, the baptized members of the church of God, are the bride of Christ. It's a mystery that people don't understand. Verse 32 again, this is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Nevertheless, let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. That's exactly what we're supposed to do with Christ and the church. We are the bride. We are the family. We are the body of Christ. The Apostle Paul, back in Romans 12 again. Let's go back to Romans 12. Verses 9 through 13. Paul outlines our duties as a Christian. Isn't that nice? Yeah, check the box, right? Okay, here's what Paul says. He is outlining our duties as a Christian. Romans 12, 9 through 13. Romans 12 is the chapter of a living sacrifice. It's a chapter of what Christians are to do. So Paul outlines the duties of each Christian. So read with me. Verse 9, let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love. Unselfish, outgoing, concern. In honor, giving preference to one another. Not lagging in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Rejoicing in hope. That's the hope the church gave me when I needed it most. Patient in tribulation. Continuing steadfastly in prayer. Distributing to the needs of the saints, given to hospitality. Romans 12, 9 through 13. Paul outlines our duties of what we do. What have we seen? What is our reasonable service? What is the very minimum that we should be doing for the church of God and with each other? Reasonable service. Minimum service number 1, hospitality. Reasonable service number 2, fellowship. Reasonable service number 3, little to-do list, love each other. Tithes and offerings, serving, loving, outgoing concern to others in the church. I look back over the last 49 years and I see this. It's what they did for me. It brought me to where I am today. The members of the body of Christ, the church of God, the bride of Christ. It was the church of God who reached out and protected and saved me and gave me the hope to carry on. Hospitality, fellowship, loving each other, tithes and offerings, serving the church. These are our reasonable service.